Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Zephyr Epic. You can use promo code Hockey Season, capital H, capital S, all one word, Hockey Season. That will get you $5 off your order at ZephyrEpic.com. That is Z-E-P-H-Y-R Epic. Check them out on all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, whatever it is. Zephyr Epic has got you covered for all of your trading card needs. My name is David Quadrelli. I'm joined, as always, by the man who built the place, Chris Faber, wearing some Canucks Army merch. You don't see that very often. A lot of Canucks Army merch. You got the hat, you got the shirt. Our technical producer, as always, is Aaron Bordato. Quickly, wanted to get this in. Some love in the chat early on here, the YouTube live chat. Big shout out to Matt. We're seeing more and more of this. Matt said, love the podcast. So excited to join and watch today. Matt, welcome to the YouTube live chat. Of course, we've also got a lot of our regulars in the chat.
Hold on. Give Ivan a shout out here. You see Ivan? 4:30 there in Osaka.
Wow.
4:30 and Ivan's tuning into the show. I had coffee too late last night. Had a good, that's funny. I've been down that road before. Not normally coffees. It's normally these puppies here. But look at this energy drink too. A Sonic flavored G Fuel.
Oh, it's G Fuel. I didn't know it was G Fuel.
Yeah. Remember when we were gaming back in the day, early in the pandemic, and I ordered G Fuel, and I swear to God, this stuff does make you better at gaming.
Dude, did I not tell you about this? Didn't I tell you I had a G Fuel like 2 weeks ago?
No.
We should censor the name of what the product is.
Seriously, honestly, this show is, if you are an energy drink company, you work near an energy drink company, if you're Pepsi or Coca-Cola or whatever, these big companies that own all of them, come sponsor the show. I will drink your energy drink every day. I will drink it every day on the show here. And I'll say such good things about it.
Okay. Also, another quick shout out to Ivan. His wife is sleeping, so he's watching this using headphones. He's really here.
Let's try and make Ivan laugh really loud.
No. We gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Careful not to be too funny on this show. That's what we always say. But
that's what we always got to toe the line.
I had a G Fuel, and I got to tell you, I don't know if it did anything for me, but I played one of the best games of MLB The Show after that. And that's a game you got to focus. You got to see, how the ball's moving and stuff. I was ripping it up in Diamond Dynasty. I told you I was on an 18 game win streak. Absolutely ridiculous in ranked. I was crushing it. Anyways, and also we are going to talk about some stuff later in our Betway bet of the day. I'll talk about it toward the end of the
you got a bet?
of the episode. I do.
I got a bet.
You got a bet?
Yeah.
Okay, you take it.
We can both do it. Yeah.
No, you do that. You do it. I'll do the next one. Because as you know, I probably have to go find it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But last quick shout out before we get into all the hockey talk. We got so much to talk about today. Another shout out for a listener, Lisa. Shout out to Mama Lisa. You saw the Seattle Mariners win a series against the Toronto Blue Jays. A lot of BC fans travel down to watch Toronto's baseball team in Seattle this past weekend. You were down there, got to see an absolute ass whooping by my Seattle Mariners. But Lisa, who's based in Seattle, gave you something that you brought back for me. Look at this. It's a little Canucks handkerchief. And we don't own merch anymore. We don't buy merch anymore. But
Lisa made that for Bert.
Lisa made this for Bert, so I will absolutely be putting this on
people on the podcast. They can't see it. It's one of these. What do you call it?
It's a bandana.
A bandana
for a dog.
But it says Bird on it, so it says his name. That says
his name.
And the font looks good too. She did that herself. I tell you.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Lisa is the goat, says Karan. Absolutely.
And I'll show it again for the people on the YouTube. So
Mama Lisa also came through. I didn't tell you this, but she picked up a bunch of chips from the Pacific Northwest. That isn't quite Vancouver. I call it the Seattle area, Washington area. So I got a bunch of local chips as well. I'll be bringing those out to my bachelor party, which starts on Wednesday night.
Corey Anderson in the chat said, "What's the Mariners' record there, Quads?"
And 500 probably.
It absolutely is, and it's been 500 all season long. It's 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. This team is the definition of mediocre. I would still rather support them than the Toronto Blue Jays.
That's fair. Understandable. Yeah,
but if the Mariners don't make the playoffs, I'm probably going Padres. Oh, like they're making the playoffs. I'm rooting for the Jays. If the Mariners don't make the playoffs, I'm rooting for the Jays. Of course I am.
Okay.
Come on.
No, that's understandable. I mean, you want to see the Jays do good, but yeah.
Although Baltimore, I do like Baltimore a lot too.
Fun game last night too.
It's
too bad. Well,
Jordan
if only we had a baseball podcast, right?
I had that question, so I answered
let people know that you have for people who don't know.
Yeah, well, I've talked about it before, but the Batter's Box podcast, myself and Mike Liu, we were joined by Brandon Markland last week, and that was a really good conversation. For those of you who don't know, Brandon Markland is a right-handed pitcher from North Vancouver who was a former Kansas City Royals prospect. His journey was heavily impacted by the pandemic, as many baseball players were, and many people.
Yeah, the minor leagues during the pandemic must have been tough.
It was a mess. And Brandon as well had a couple injuries and eventually was just given up on by the Royals. Look, business is business. I get it, but we're all rooting for Brandon. Really good conversation with him. Lot of really good insight, especially for younger pitchers, because he's been there, done that. Really good insight in that conversation. We had a really nice talk. So even if you're not a huge baseball fan, but you got a kid playing baseball, go listen to that. The Batter's Box with Brandon Markland. We didn't talk much about the MLB or anything. No. We talked about baseball, the sport.
But you recorded that interview here, and I was in the other room, so I could hear. I've never heard you speak less on a show.
Yeah,
you barely talked. Brandon was the podcaster. You were just along for the ride.
Well, yeah, I had like 7 questions up, and I think we got to 4 of them because Brandon was a really good talker. Had, like I said, a lot of really good insight, and he's a regular listener of this show. Massive Canucks fan. Like the plan was when he picked up his first career save or made his first his MLB debut with the Royals at the time, was who we thought it was going to be. The plan was for him to wear the Chinese New Year Louis Erickson jersey in his post-game press conference. And then all the people in Missouri are like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then he'd say, yeah, this is my hometown team. Louis Erickson's a folk legend, local legend in Vancouver. And that was the plan. Yeah. So hopefully it still happens. Hopefully it still happens.
In the SHL, he's back with Frölunda.
That's right.
Again.
That's right.
All right. Let's get to what we got on the show here today.
News and notes.
Well, we got a few. Let's go through the whole show because we are going to spend some time talking about the defense pairings. We've touched on it a little bit, but I got a big fancy graphic and we're going to focus in on it for the bulk of the show in the middle of it. Off the top, we do have some news and notes to get to, and then at the end, we'll wrap things up with a Betway bet of the day. But I'm going on vacation. So if you want, I think later in the show, sort of stealing this from Halford and Bruff a little bit, they'll ask us anything to wrap up because I think they did a really good job on Halbro. They're on vacation now for a little bit, but they had a very fun final segment. So ask us anything. So I got my bachelor party coming up here. I'm going on my first vacation of the year. The last time I took a vacation, what happened? I got COVID.
Oh, so, that's right.
Yeah, so that was my one day off. That was the day I tested positive for COVID. So horrible. Starts, and that's the only vacation day I've used. And I got to use these things before the year changes over, and we get our new contracts. We got to talk about vacation days in our new contracts. We'll bring Aaron in for that one. He can help us with the negotiations. He's producer, also our agent too. All right, off the top, let's get to news and notes. Again, folks, we're not dropping any bombs on you here, but there are some things going around the Canucks world that we should touch on.
Patrice Bergeron, that's the big news of the day.
Yeah, but you always want to go and talk about all these. You're basically living in Toronto. All you want to do is talk about these Eastern teams. I don't care.
Is this because I talked about the Baltimore Orioles?
No, it's not because of that. It's a Canucks conversation, not the goddamn Bruins chat. All right. News and notes, Vancouver Canucks. Again, this is not
what the hell are we going to lead off with? Done that.
The Canucks are holding auditions for an anthem singer, Quads. So that's our news.
My bad.
Yeah, come on, dude. You bury the lead here. Yeah, I think that's. I found that interesting though when it did come out because I thought that they have some people in there that do a hell of a job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's going to be a rotation still, right? It's not just a full-time one person. It's because we saw
when Juggy goes out though, Juggy. Yeah, he should. I
saw him tweet something about it. Shout out Juggy, of course.
Yeah.
And he's got a group now. Did you know this?
Yeah. Yeah, yes. And I just think he should be the Saturday night guy. Make it a show on Saturday nights a little bit, kind of get that going for Canucks fans and put Juggy out there. He dresses the way that dude dresses. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
He dresses to impress.
So good. And he is, to me, he's the best. He's the best anthem.
Tonal Vision.
Mary Huey also very good too, I think too.
Is his duo. Juggy's duo is Tonal Vision at This Is Tonal on Twitter. So go check it out.
Okay, sounds good. Any thoughts on this? Are you going to try? Because I've sang the national anthem at a hockey game before.
When did you sing the national anthem?
At the VIU Mariners game back when they didn't have anybody to do it, and I said I'll do it. There was 40 pushing it. There was 20 people in the stands. I can do the national anthem, but I screwed up This was pretty recently after they changed the anthem a little bit. What did they change? Anyways, they changed the words into it. I messed it up.
Threw you off?
Yeah, it threw me off again. I just
also, we should also mention Elizabeth Irving. She does a good job with the anthem. She's always there
a good
too.
job too, and a longtime Canucks fan as well. So that's cool stuff. But I think that's what I like about the three anthem singers that they've used. They're all big Canucks fans, so I think it means a lot to them to sing the anthem.
So, how many likes on the or how many subscribers on the Canucks, or do you want to do Patreon? Whatever, we'll figure out a number.
Mm-hmm.
How many of this thing to get you to submit a video of yourself singing the Canadian American national anthems? The deadline is July 31st, so this would have to get done before you leave tomorrow night.
No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you are. I'll do it with you. We'll do it as a duo and send in our audition. I'll do it with you. If we get X amount.
No, here's what I said. I would do this. And Wags and I have talked, Daniel Wagner and I, we've talked about this in the press box. We would, when they do at the intermissions, to do the karaoke.
Okay.
Wags and I would do a battle in the karaoke thing and see who the crowd cheers for more.
Isn't Wags like an actual musician?
Yeah, but I'm an actual good singer. So
Are
take
you really?
that, Wags. Yeah, have you not heard me sing Hero? That's what I would do for karaoke.
Yeah, I guess I've heard you sing that. Yeah,
I only have one song that I can sing. I would do Hero by
Not that
Enrique
difficult
Iglesias.
of a song to sing though. Like Wags, I think Wags is a more seasoned singer.
Oh
right?
yeah, he is. Yeah, he's got.
Okay, I'm just making sure that you knew that.
No, I can sing, man. I go to karaoke, and I'm good. More than words is another
music
song
and like albums and stuff.
Yeah, well, I just don't know how to play an instrument. Otherwise, I'd be up there too.
All right.
Don't worry about that. All right, more news and notes. Can we get this photo up here, Aaron? The arena in Liga now has an Artur Silov's art piece outside of the arena, and Latvian fans are bowing down to the king. You might need to scroll down a little bit here. So this is the art piece. It's big. It's outside of the arena where they played the World Championships at. And we got to get the full shot of the photo for people here on YouTube, because there are fans. You can see the hands at the bottom bowing down to Artur Silovs in Liga. He is becoming an absolute fanfare. I saw some photos of him with Porsche as well. Like Porsche has got to deal with him.
Wow.
He's doing it up. Latvia is obviously, they love to see what he did at the World Championships. That was great for them to go on that run. He got tournament MVP, all that stuff. Now he's starting to, see a little bit of the results of that come back. He's got the stat list, nice little art piece outside. And for people who can't see, obviously on the podcast, it is just like a big hockey net with Artur Silov's body in front of it. But the cool thing that I like about it, you got all the Canucks colors here, right? You got the Canucks color pads, the Canucks cover helmet or mask, all that stuff. So that's pretty cool stuff. And like I said, I've been kind of low-key following his offseason a little bit, and he is living it up, having a very good time, and they're loving him. They're treating him like their king over there. They're bowing down to the king, signing cheeks, everything. He's had a busy offseason, so good for him.
And we're going to clip that. So if you're on the podcast, you can go find it on our Twitter. We're going to clip this whole segment and post it on Twitter for
Look at this. The fans are bowing down and praying to
So sorry,
Artur
explain
Silov.
to me again, where was this?
This is outside of the arena where the World Championships was held in Liga.
Riga.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, my Ligas and Rigas.
Well, Liga, because I'm like Finland,
yeah.
Okay, yes.
No, Riga, you're right.
Because it was also in Finland, that tournament.
That's right.
Finland and Latvia. Riga, Latvia.
Yeah, Riga, Latvia. So don't clip that and put that on.
Well, we can clip this part where we explain what it is. Okay, that's really cool.
So shout out to him, and yeah, if you haven't, just check out go to Silov's Instagram page. He has been having a hell of an offseason. So great for him.
August is coming up.
Yeah.
You know what that means? We're heading back out there. We're going to start talking to these guys. The goalies are going to get here early, I'm sure. Let's see. And this is an actual Canucks thing, because we've been talking about this toward the end of the year. Let's see when the leadership group gets out here. Because, yes, they don't have a practice rink, but these informal skates that they've been having for the past couple of years, right? Yep. Let's see when they get out here. Because if you recall, not to crap on anybody, the leadership group, among the last to get here, right? Like the goalies were here very early. I know Demko was rehabbing an injury, so he was here in like July skating. Podkolzin's out there right now with Connor Bedard. He never left. He's putting in a lot of work.
I saw that tweet going around. Klimovich is out there with Bedard too.
Yep, Klimovich, Bedard, Ryan Tattle, Coquitlam Express captain.
Oh yeah, your buddy there.
That's right, my buddy's out there.
He's a good dude.
He is a good dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to quickly get in there. It's just that I want to see when the leadership group gets out here, because they were, like I said, they were among the last year.
And it'll be interesting to see, especially after, I don't know how it works for our summer workouts, but man, Ian Clark was working with the goalies. That's a Canucks staff member working with the guys in the off season. How does that work out? Is it maybe like a certain time limit? At some point in the off season, you can get together with the Canucks staff members and start working again? Because if you remember, the players that were out there with the goalies were there wasn't what at least most of the ones that I remember going to out there at Burnaby were Ian Clark was like the only coach on the ice. Like
I don't think he was on the ice.
Yeah, when Klimovich and them were out shooting.
End,
yeah,
maybe.
I'd say so.
But here's the thing that I want to say is we know they're going to be following the rules, especially this year, and I'm assuming they were last year too, because hey, I'm guessing the NHL's pretty on top of this sort of thing based on the $50,000, especially with think of how much media attention those skates got compared to what this private skate they got fined $50,000 for. I'm sure they're following all the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways,
question here from Sonny that's kind of related to what we're talking about in the YouTube chat. And by the way, if you haven't come by the YouTube chat, 12:30 when we do this, come by and join, be a part of the show like Sonny did. Any news on the practice rink? Yeah, nothing there.
Nope.
I think we have to kind of wait here until we hear from Jim Rutherford again, who has kind of gone radio silence though, and letting Patrick Alvin do all the talking now after, which was like a crazy. If you look back and think about it, you remember like when they did the announcement for the Tanner Pearson injury and they brought out the doctors and Jim Rutherford did that. He like talked to us for like 45 minutes straight. It was only like a few minutes spent on the Pearson situation, and then Rutherford was just completely honest. I think I'd like him to do another one of those. Like, I'd like to have another long talk with the president so we can ask these type of questions. But yeah, to answer your question, Sonny, no news right now, no update there. And BC Bourne says the same thing. We need a practice facility. I completely agree. I thought about that at development camp, and I'm thinking, man, these players are in a pretty it's not like a bad spot, right? It's a fine arena where they were playing out there at Thunderbird Arena, but it's not like you kind of want to prop them up a little bit. Let these prospects know like what they're in for when they're coming to the organization. Like they couldn't even go to Rogers Arena because there wasn't ice there at the time, because the concerts are obviously running throughout the summer and all that stuff. It's a busy time of the year for that. But like, man, it would be great to have a practice arena for a situation like that to really show these Canucks prospects who are here for development camp, make it more of a show. Because I didn't think that the ice was horrible at UBC, because there's that many people on the ice chopping it up, as well as like kids practicing, the UBC team still practicing. It didn't feel like it was at the most top level that you would like to see from an NHL organization.
And this isn't groundbreaking stuff. This isn't us trying to stir up narratives in late July. This is what Jim Rutherford said when he came here, was we need to get a practice rink. Yeah. And you look at it, the Canucks are the only team in the league that do not have a practice rink or plans. Well, they have plans, I guess.
Do they?
No concrete plans the way the Calgary Flames, who were the other last team to not have a practice rink, did. The Canucks and Flames are the last two that don't have a practice rink. The Coyotes have a practice rink. And hey, like, you were there more than I was last year, but I was there last year as well. And, you did have people from visiting teams come in and say, this is your rink. Like, this is what we have to work with. Like, they do need that practice rink. I know it, for the reasons that Rutherford kind of pointed out of, it's good for attracting free agents and all that sort of stuff. And
you know what? There should be a little bit more pressure put onto that, because last year, we came into the season and there was like, oh, there's a lot of work still being done at Rogers Arena. There's certain things that didn't happen. Listen, those things didn't get finished throughout the season. We got to the end of the year and there was still a lot of opposing teams coming in and complaining about Rogers Arena and the setup down there for the players. The media coming in was like,
the renovations, it's tough. It's tough.
I get that, sure, but I mean, I think at this point, it's like it's been more than a full year now.
You got to go crack the whip on the construction workers, is what I'm hearing.
No, it's not the construction workers' fault. They're good union folks. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They just don't have not getting the support that they need. All right, final thing. I didn't want to give shouts to Twitter user Trevor_M29 for sharing the update that Sweden put out last week. I missed this. I was down in Seattle. Jonathan Lekarmaki will not be playing at the World Junior Summer Showcase. So that's just a little update. I've been talking a long time about the 4 prospects starting on Friday. They start on the 29th.
I don't know how much coverage we're going to have of that.
They get started. Okay, well, that's too bad, because I'm going to be gone. I'll be able to cover the end of the it's not even a tournament, it's a showcase.
Right? If anybody wants to cover it for Canucks Army, shoot me a message.
Send your resume.
Yeah, send your resume.
Or just send like a nice
any coverage.
Yeah, send like 4 paragraphs that make sense to Quads, and he'll
name 5 Canucks prospects.
Yeah, and then the job is yours. You can get paid $3 an article.
Yeah, send me a message, folks.
All right, so that's all I really got for news and notes. Anything else Canucks related? Do you want to do anything on Bergeron here? Like I saw it earlier in the chat.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Sure, and you should name the Selke the Bergeron Award.
Yes,
now,
of course.
Right? That's to me, I agree with. I missed it. Whoever said in the chat earlier. That's simple. Make it the Selke, or make it the Bergeron. Right? Like I think that's a very easy move here.
Yeah,
just make that happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and Lekarmaki, sorry, Pujold, did not get cut. Him and the rest of the Djurgården junior players are just not attending. Like I've seen Lekharamaki's going to be fine. He'll be on the World Junior team and all that stuff. So don't worry. He didn't get cut. He just didn't. He's not in attendance. They've replaced him with some players that we actually wrote about at Canucks Army. The Canucks should have targeted in the 4th and 5th rounds and ended up going in the 4th and 5th rounds, but not to the Canucks. So Sweden, Adam, they're going to get going. It's going to be a fun little tournament to watch. Jackson Dorrington's still going to be playing for USA. Hunter Brustevich is still going to be playing for USA. And D. Petey still playing for Sweden. So some Canucks prospects. Hey, we've gone a long time with not a lot of news, and we touched on this before we start going. Is this the quietest July ever? Like, no big trades, nothing. Like, there's nothing going on. Aside from the Bergeron thing, which you want to spend the whole show about, the freaking Bruins banter over here to start the show. But no, I mean, like, and we kind of touched on it with Aaron before we start going, like, one domino needs to fall. And I think we're all looking at Erik Karlsson.
Shohei Ohtani.
Well, that'll happen too. But when the Erik Karlsson trade goes through, I think that's going to kind of open up the floodgates. But I think that July normally has a little bit more action. Like, I feel like August is kind of the slowest month of the NHL year. Mm-hmm. August normally is, but it really feels like this July has just been very slow up to this point. So I'm waiting for something to happen to kind of start the dominoes and get them flowing here. You ever play with dominoes when you were a kid?
Just
like the game with your grandparents?
No, I never learned that.
I thought Italians loved dominoes.
We played Kepa.
What's that?
Kepa is it's also called 31. You know 31?
Yeah, I like 31. I haven't played that in forever.
My nonno will whoop your butt.
I believe
not only that, he'll tell you what cards you have without, like, he won't peek at your cards, but he'll look at what you pick up and he remembers all of them. It's like the weather with him. He's all dialed in on the weather. He also knows what cards you have in your hand.
Good for him. Yeah, your nonno's got a memory of a elephant. Yeah. And 31's a great game. For people who haven't played 30, you little swap the cards out and 31, bang, knock on the table or whatever.
Yes,
yeah, that's good stuff. That, and I'll never try and match up against a grandparent and think I have the upper hand in 31, 2500, or crib. Those 3 games, no. Grandparents will whoop my ass every single time on that. They're just better. They're better at it, especially crib. You ever play crib?
No, never.
Crib's a good one. Well, I tell you, I wish, some people do like poker nights. I could do a 3-hour every Thursday night playing crib. I love that game.
You ever play In Between? We played that. I got a poker set and I started playing In Between with my grandpa.
Okay. No, I haven't played that.
He enjoys that game. I think it's a drinking game, but I also learned it with gambling. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, let's get to our big topic of the day. Topic au jour.
Yeah. Okay.
Defense pairings.
Let's get to it.
All right. When I sent you a text to start this, I said, what's your defense pairings? We had the exact same 6 players in the exact same 6 spots. So we'll make some arguments kind of playing, what do you call it? Devil's advocate? Is that what they say?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. We got it. We'll play a little bit of that onto this and kind of make an argument either way. But we have the same 6. Let's get it up here, Aaron. Just our defense pairings that we got. So starting on the top pair, we think it's going to be Quinn Hughes and Ian Cole. Right? Like, what would surprise you if it was something else? Would it be? And I saw this, and I know Jesse, I don't know if I've seen him in the chat today. Jesse's full on with Noah Juleson, with playing with Quinn Hughes to start the season. I think Ian Cole is a little bit of a higher quality player than Noah Juleson in the NHL.
A little bit.
Yep. At least
a little bit.
At least a little bit. And I think that's the way they're going to rock with. Ian Cole also has some experience playing with some of these top pairing guys. So I think you can see this playing out, and the fact he's on a 1-year deal, like I like the situation with Ian Cole, the way he's coming in. So that's how I see the top pairing playing in. I don't know if it's going to be like Noah Juleson is the only other option in my eyes. I don't see it being Filip Hronek. That would be the other name you can think of, and they won't do Tyler Myers. That just doesn't work.
And that's the thing, right? Is when you have Quinn Hughes, you can play him with a guy like Ian Cole. Hell, you can play him with Noah Juleson. Let's just throw that out.
Yeah, you could.
Fun.
Totally.
You can play him with whoever. You shouldn't play him with Noah Juleson. You should shoot higher for that. When you play Quinn Hughes with Ian Cole, he has that veteran presence on the defensive end that we know he plays well with, right? Like we know he can play well with a guy like Ian Cole. Granted, we have to see it to believe it, right? We have to see how those two work together, but you would assume that they will be pretty good together as a stylistic fit, right? Yes. How much do we talk about primary puck mover and a guy who can just kind of sit back? Not saying Juleson isn't that. I'm just saying that Cole's been there, done that. He's done it in the NHL for some time now. Maybe if Cole falls right at the start of the year, like it's clear that his best days are behind him, then sure, you throw Juleson in. But to start the year, I don't think it's outrageous to say that it's Cole. The other thing that I want people to keep in mind is a couple years now where we've seen, okay, well, when the Canucks want to load up, Tyler Myers is going up to the first pair late in the game when they need a goal because they need that offensive push. Tyler Myers just became Filip Hronek on this team, right? Like if you have 5 minutes left in the game, you are double shifting a pairing of Quinn Hughes and Filip Hronek.
Yep.
For sure you are. And then maybe you have Carson Soucy and Ian Cole out there as your second. It doesn't matter. My point being is that we are going to see, when you look at the most used partners, I would not be surprised to see Filip Hronek in the top 3 for Quinn Hughes by the end of the year in terms of ice time that they have logged together at 5-on-5. I think we will see that. I think we will see that late in games. I think it's a nice little ace to have in the sleeve for Rick Tocchet and his coaching staff, right? It can't hurt, but I think to start games and to start the year, like you said, it's not going to be Hronek and Hughes. I think it's going to be Hughes and Cole.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying about late in games. I can also see it just being like, hey, listen, we just had our final whistle. We had a couple shifts. There's a time here where we can fit out Hughes and Hronek. Like, do it. Go for it. Give them a little bit extra 5-on-5 time together so you aren't really relying as much on the Ian Coles and on the Carson Soucy. So that kind of doesn't really put as much pressure on them. Like, Soucy's got some pressure to be a top 4 defenseman next year, right? That's something we've talked about a lot. It's something that he's done in little bits throughout his career, but not consistently throughout the season. So in my eyes, seeing it happen, like you can use Hronek to kind of soften the blow a little bit, right? And I think you're putting him there with another top 4 defenseman, and I'm talking about Carson Soucy here. You're putting him there with Filip Hronek, who in my eyes is a top 4 defenseman for sure. Carson Soucy, I think there's still a little bit to prove, but there's at least some potential, some real potential.
Yep. Some potential that the Canucks believe in, right? Absolutely. Like the Canucks believe in it.
Yeah. So I think it's certainly possible, but I can see a lot more of Hronek and Hughes at times where you can just make it happen. Like, would it shock me to like see a period start with it? Like, that could be a thing you see happen, right? And then you do quickly like a little bounce back with Soucy and Cole for a shift, and then you just get back in the rotation, right? Get back in the rotation. Or say you're coming off a penalty kill and you don't use Hronek and Hughes and say, okay, maybe I'll just use somebody else in the spot, right? Put them out right after a penalty kill to get a little bit of offense going. And that's where I wanted to transition this a little bit here. And we'll touch on guys that are outside of our top 6. But as we're talking about our current top 6 that we put together, who are the 4 penalty killers of the group? When we're talking about Quinn Hughes on the top pairing, Ian Cole with him, Carson Soucy as the second pairing left shot guy, Filip Hronek as the second pairing right shot guy. Then our third pairing is Christian Wolanin and Tyler Myers. Who are the 4 penalty killers there?
I think your first over the boards is Ian Cole. Like, I think Ian Cole.
With who?
It could be Quinn Hughes, right? Like, the thing is, and we've discussed this, with the acquisitions this team's made, right up to Teddy Bluger, right at the forward line, right? Penalty killing was front of mind. Like, if you saw the JFresh charts that came out when these guys were all signed, their even strength defense was high, their even strength offense was pretty low, but their penalty killing and even strength defense, but mostly penalty killing,
they have a type,
was very high. The Canucks had a type this offseason, and they targeted that type.
Yeah.
So we know that Ian Cole, we know that Carson Soucy are going to be among those penalty killers. Does that alleviate some pressure from Quinn Hughes? Yeah, I think it does, because Quinn Hughes was this team's number 1 penalty killing option. Whether Rick Tocchet, who has talked about limiting ice time of Hughes and Pettersson, whether he likes it or not, his best penalty killers are Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, or they were at least, right?
Yeah, that's...
And look, and I don't know how much
that's
these
not on the players, that's not on the coach, that's on the how your team's assembled.
Yeah. And I think, like, it was great. We all praised Rick Tocchet when he came here and talked about limiting ice time, rolling 4 lines. We all praised him for that. But like we kind of assumed, I think eventually he found out, like, you know what? If we want to even look like an NHL team with this lineup, we need to be playing these guys as much as we are.
Yeah.
So when you go out and make these acquisitions, you have that in your mind of, okay, well, Quinn Hughes played a lot. Elias Pettersson played a lot down the stretch when we were winning games. How can we make that more sustainable over an 82-game stretch? Limiting those guys' ice times is going to be important. Going out and getting these penalty killers is important for roster construction. It's important for the coaching staff to have at their disposal a few more pieces. That being said, you just brought it up. You look at this defense core, and yeah, Quinn Hughes is still a big part of it, right? Like, Quinn Hughes is still a big part of the Canucks penalty killing defense. And I don't think that's a bad thing per se, but it'd be nice if they had 4 guys who, like Cole, like Soucy, that we just look at and say, oh, well, they're gonna defend ahead of Hughes.
That's where I look at our defense pairings. We picked Christian Wolanin to be the third pairing left shot guy, which I think is the one that's at least up for the most debate. You can talk about moving the players around, but the player that would come out of this 6-man group that we've selected is Christian Wolanin. I think if there was a guy there that makes a lot of sense about killing penalties, you could make an argument for them there. And then you could have, like, you have kind of 5 defensemen that makes sense to kill penalties, and you don't have to do that to Quinn Hughes. Though he might be a solid penalty killer, that's where you can find him some minutes to kind of get away from the ice a little bit, get ready to do more damage in the offensive zone, the spot where he's at his best. So in my eyes, looking at the rest of the defensemen who might be in that battle, because don't get me wrong, it's not set in stone that Christian Wolanin's playing on opening night. There's Akito Hirose in the mix. Jack Rathbone's there. Cole McWard's there. Jet Woo's there. Noah Juleson we talked about. Matt Irwin. Like, out of that group of players, I guess Matt Irwin is kind of the name that sticks out to me anyways, who can play on your third pairing and also kill penalties. So is there enough of a case to be made if you can kill penalties that you can go and make the lineup because of that? Because it takes away minutes from Quinn Hughes on the penalty kill, which is I think it can be a good thing. I think you want him out there because he's just such a good player, such a good overall defenseman. But maybe the PK isn't where you need him, right? Like maybe that's not where you need him to be playing minutes every single night. So is Akito Hirose, I think he's the one that you can make the argument for of like, can he kill penalties at the NHL level? Smart player, pretty, doesn't really get too wild in his own zone. Like he's a calm player. I think there's some penalty killing traits there that you like to see from a guy. So is Hirose the guy who has the strongest argument to come into our top six, or is there somebody else? Because
Matt Irwin.
Yeah, because Matt, that's the name I was just about to say. This dude played 61 NHL games last year.
This dude hasn't played an AHL game since 2016. I think.
Yeah.
He hasn't played in years. He hasn't played an AHL game in years.
And he's 35 years old, so he's getting up there, but he's still playing in the NHL.
Yeah. So, and this looks like the guy brought in to replace Cabros, if you ask me.
Really?
Bigger body. Probably going to be this team's seventh defenseman. We just talked about how he hasn't played an AHL game in a long time.
Yep.
He's betting on himself because this is a two-way contract. I'm not sure if everybody noticed that, but it's a two-way contract, meaning he gets a different salary if he plays in the AHL. So he's betting on himself. This is to prove his worth still in the NHL because he wasn't able to get what he was looking for on the open market.
So he's coming home, and you could see him. Yeah, you mentioned it. You could see him in the.
Don't sleep on Matt Irwin is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, he's got. It's not like a huge hit when he goes to the AHL either. It's like a $450,000 salary, which is incredibly high for the AHL, actually. So that's good for him. He's going to be making his own, but a good local kid, former Nanaimo Clipper. I've seen him play live a ton. Good player, good dude. Is there anybody else? Like, would you make more of an argument for Irwin or Hirose at this point?
Irwin's an NHL vet with experience. I think Hirose, a really good year for Hirose, is if he goes down to Abbotsford and has the Christian Wolanin year, where in his mid-20s, he doesn't have to win the AHL Defenseman of the Year award like Wolanin did.
Right.
But he can go down, really start to round out his game. Because here's the thing, and I'm not trying to crap on Hirose, because look, he looked good in those games, but I keep having people within the game tell me, hey, don't put too much into those games where Cole McWard and where Hirose looked fine. It's just a different game at the start of the year. And we know that. We've seen it year and year for years and years, this team not do.
Yeah, I think a combination of things like the adrenaline from him is a bird scared quads. The adrenaline from him coming in to play an NHL game, Canucks fans at the time looking for anything positive to grasp on for, I think have really kind of propped Hirose up a little bit more
this is in a lot of people's eyes.
But sorry, to your point, what you just said, you talk to people that work in hockey and not a lot of them were impressed with Hirose as much. Like you're hearing that from the organization, the way they're talking about the players, of course, but people that are kind of behind the scenes and under the hood with a little bit more analytics in their background weren't really that impressed, but it's a small sample size too. I liked a lot of the eye test stuff that Hirose did.
This is going to sound very negative, and I don't mean for it to. And this is not a shot at Hirose, because hey, I think it would be great for this team if he comes into camp and blows down the doors. I'm just saying to the people that are immediately saying, okay, he could play in the top four, he could play on the third pairing right from opening night. Maybe put the brakes on a little bit, because first of all, the NHL game, there is a lot to learn. But the thing that I kind of just wanted to point out was we were at development camp and you were there a lot more than I was, but like he didn't really blow the doors off at development camp. He didn't really stand out a ton as this guy who was 24, like he's 24 years old, right? He's older than basically everybody at the development camp. You would have liked for him to stick out a little bit more. I'm not saying that's going to mean he's not going to be able to come into training camp and have a strong camp and earn a spot in the opening night lineup. I'm just saying that had he come in and blown the doors off at development camp and just looked so many steps above everybody else, like the thing I want you to think about, Chris, is if you put Ian Cole, or you put Carson Soucy, or you put Quinn Hughes, obviously Quinn Hughes. But if you put like an NHL player in a development camp like that, I think
even if you put,
they would stand
here's
out.
the thing: Jack Rathbone's the same age. You put Jack Rathbone in development camp, he would have stuck out like crazy. And he's a player that's been in pro. Like, I think that's the other thing that's interesting to me is I think Hirose and Rathbone are in the same camp of, they're at least in the same bracket of where they're battling, right? They're battling for the same position. They want to get in the NHL. They want to make make an impact at this point in their lives at the NHL level, so they can be NHLers for the next 10 years.
I think it would
be
great.
Be very difficult for both.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost more difficult for Rathbone because he has a history in the NHL of not impressing.
Mm-hmm.
And Hirose, yes, the numbers and the analytics and all the stuff under the hood aren't great, but at least the eye test that you saw, though there were some 0 games, he doesn't have that kind of knock that Rathbone has against him. Like, there's no knock against Hirose yet. There's not, his defense might not be as great. Like, his offense is where there's not really a knock yet. He didn't play enough games to get one.
I'm thinking about the player's long-term potential. And I think Hirose as a player would benefit more from being in the AHL and having that full year. And I think the NHL club not only would benefit from that in the long run if Hirose can come up and be that guy, I think it's going to be good for him to have some time in the AHL. And I think it's good for the NHL club as well to have a guy like Wolanin.
Well, he could be the top pairing guy down there too.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean, right? Is you have this development staff, you have this opportunity down there where you can give him that opportunity. Because look, Wolanin's probably coming up. Like I said, you've got Matt Irwin as well. You have the pieces where you're not forced into playing Hirose on a third pair. Mm-hmm. So I think unless he really earns it out of camp, because of course that's a possibility, unless he really earns it out of camp, then I think it's just fine to start him in the AHL. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, that's not a knock on Hirose, to be clear. That's not a knock on him. Not a knock on anything here. Like, I'm just saying I think it's a good thing for players to get that extra season.
I think it helps with a lot of things. Obviously, development's the big one. Getting used to the pro game, though, to me is so big. It's something that, like, we don't talk about it a lot because we normally talk about the stuff on the ice. But when I talk to a player, specifically in the AHL, like, hearing the adjustment that they talk about when going to pro is something that's brought up by the player often. Very often they talk about this. And I think that's something like Hirose has 1 month of experience as pro, right? Like, he could use a lot more time in the AHL. And I really think that the defense in the AHL is going to be really good. Like, it's going to be a very strong AHL defense. At least there's a lot of potential for it to be that way. Like, Rathbone could be there. McWard should be there. Hirose we expect to be there. Jet Wu's going to be there. Brisebois is going to be there. Maybe Noah Juleson ends up there. Like, there are a lot of different players on that AHL team that you're feeling pretty good about, because I think you can go to an AHL, you can go to an Abbotsford Canucks game and watch that defense core and be like, that guy could play an NHL game this year for the Vancouver Canucks. When the hell could you say that about their AHL team in the past? I might have to unmute Cody and ask, but like that, there's at least some good in the depth going into the defense this year. And I think the defense has improved. It was definitely a focus by this management group this offseason and free agency, and they have improved the depth specifically in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, someone in the chat pointed out, at least we're having debates, right? Like,
totally.
It's late July and we're actually having a debate about this.
Man, I love when you can talk about debating the depth. Makes you feel better about the team as a whole. It makes you feel a little bit more positive about it when you're battling about, when you're talking about that, instead of, hey, remember going into camp a couple years ago? Who the hell's going to play in the top 6? Is Niels Höglander? Is it Zach McEwen?
And it was Niels Höglander.
Is it Jake Virtanen? Like, that was tough. So I think now you're seeing it like, there's some debates that can be had, and they're positive ones because they've done a better job of improving the defense. And it's brought up a lot, but they're only going to have one guy returning from opening night last year. It's Quinn Hughes.
We got a lot of people on the live show and the YouTube live chat right now. It's awesome. Really nice to see late July. Are we doing a show next week? You're going away?
Yeah, I'll be back next week. We'll do like a Thursday show or something like that.
I have it in my calendar.
No, I'm back on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, you're back on Monday.
Let's get to the poll question, though, because it's related to this. And let's just see what the people are thinking here.
Okay.
I did the read once and I made a mistake. You're the one. You have to do this every time.
Sure.
Our good friends there at Atlas Goods.
Our great friends.
Great friends.
Say.
Yeah,
great
they
folks.
Are great folks.
Some might say.
Yeah. Good friends, great folks.
Atlas Goods. Go to atlasgds.com. Use promo code CC15. That will get you 15% off your first order of pop rinds. These are the best fresh pork rinds straight from your microwave or air fryer. Our poll question today.
They got that crunch that I like, this type of crunch where there's not like you're not crunching to some part of the food. You're just crunching the whole food. Like, it's not like a corn dog. You have the crunch on the outside, the hot dog in the middle, and that's fine too. I love corn dogs, but Something about like an airy crunch. I do love that, and that's what you get with the pop rinds.
Get your airy crunch,
and you can crumble them up. You crumble them up, and you put them on mac and cheese. You crumble them up, you put them on hash browns. You crumble them up, put them on an omelet. All that stuff,
delicious.
Yep.
Go get your own. Get your own crumbles over at Atlas GDS, and like I said, you're going to use promo code CC15. That'll get you 15% off your first order of pop rinds. Our poll question today: who wins the third left D spot out of camp? We do have the pairings written as Hughes, Cole, Susie, Hronek, and then we have question marks with Tyler Myers. Our options:
oh, do we ever?
Christian Wolanin, Matt Irwin, Akito Hirose, and as always, I'm angry. Chris, who do you think is leading the vote?
I would have thought it was going to be Akito Hirose, because I do think that fans are, there was a lot of good stuff to take away, right? It's kind of like what I said earlier. There's not a knock against this kid yet. What's the knock? That he's 24? It's not a huge knock. I think a lot of NHLers would take that. I just think that he got a lot of hype. Let's not forget though, like Christian Wolanin was AHL Defenseman of the Year. When he was on his game, he was excellent. The story behind Christian Wolanin, he's told it on this show before. One of our favorite, I'd have to say one of our favorite guests from last year, right? Wolanin's one of my favorite guys to talk to. And I think that because of the pandemic, because of his shoulder injury at the time, he missed like the part of his career when he's supposed to be making that emergence into an NHLer from the age of kind of 23 to 27. I think there's something here with this Wolanin kid. I do like him quite a bit. You know that.
And here's the other thing.
So I would have voted for him. I did vote for him. But what were the results?
Well, hang on a sec.
Okay.
The thing to also remember about the whole Hirose conversation, yes, we'd like to see him start with the great play, continue it from last year, right? He's the only guy on this list that is waiver exempt. Only guy. You don't think Christian Wolanin's getting scooped up? Look, I know that it's easier to sneak guys through waivers at the start of the year, but you don't think teams might take a flyer on the guy who was the AHL Defenseman of the Year last year?
Absolutely.
Like when you win that league award, they're not going to be able to pass you through waivers or slip you through, right? And no, a two-way contract for Matt Irwin does not mean he's waiver exempt. Thank you, EA Sports, for making everybody think that's the case.
The damn two-way thing. Yeah.
I don't even know how that started, but I used to think that because of EA Sports. Too, though. Yeah, I used to think he's like, I'll give this guy a two-way so I can just send him down and not lose him on waivers. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Not how it works. But Akito Hirose leading the vote right now with 51%. 32% say Christian Wolanin, 10% say Matt Irwin. I'm among that 10%. Either that or Wolanin is my pick. 7% say they are angry. So I just want people to remember with the Hirose debate that my take that he starts in Abbotsford does not come from me disliking the player at all. It comes from knowing that he's the only waiver exempt player. And there's a veteran in front of him and the guy who won the AHL Defenseman of the Year award last year. Like, let's put that all into perspective, right? Like, Wolanin was playing ahead of Hirose in the Canucks lineup, even when Hirose was having this great time at the end of the year. The Canucks were banged up. They had no blue liners left.
Yeah, because if you remember, Wolanin was injured at the end of last year as well.
Exactly.
So, like, a lot of different things. And, yeah, I know the hype is behind Hirose, and I would like to see him do it, but I'd like to see Wolanin do it, and I think he can do it. I have more confidence that Wolanin can do it and win that spot and be something. The guy moves the puck really well. Like, he does a really good job moving the puck. He can move pretty well at the NHL level, really good at the AHL level, and a little bit of offense there. And I think that's what you're looking at right now when you see the rest of the defense core. You have Ian Cole to be that defensive guy on the penalty kill. You have Carson Soucy, he's going to kill penalties. Philip Hronek is going to kill penalties for you. Like, you're going to use Tyler Myers probably on the PK again. Say what you want about Myers. Like, he does have a big body and long reach on the penalty kill. At least he has that. So, I could see it being more of an offensive guy. That's why Rathbone might even have a decent chance. Like, Rathbone might have a little bit of a chance there to play with Tyler Myers. Yep. That pairing just hasn't been great up to this point in the year. So I wonder if it's going to be like who fits the best with Tyler Myers. Is that how they make the decision at 3 on the third pairing? Because the best guy might be Akito Hirose in that point. So I can see the argument for Hirose from that because he's the best fit with Tyler Myers, who you hope can get back to being more of an offensive defenseman. I don't really know what type of defenseman Tyler Myers is anymore. Like, is he a defensive guy? He's been that in the past when he was, on that shutdown pairing with OEL that 1 year, but he was, when he came here, as an offensive puck mover. So I wonder what they go with. I think they have some options to maybe see who fits best with Tyler Myers. So we probably see this ride deep into the preseason. I would have to think, getting real close to regular season before they decide who's going to play with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of these conversations, and we're going to have more as the offseason goes along. One of these conversations that it's not really going to be one that we get an answer to until training camp starts. And the thing I want to say, I've mentioned a few times, and I'm sure I'll mention a few times more in the summer. Rick Talk at training camps have those 3 groups that Travis Green used to have. And he hinted at it in a radio interview that I heard. He hinted at, I think it was Halfenbruff. Shout out Halfenbruff. He hinted at the fact that, yeah, whoever's out of shape will basically be in that 3rd group. Jake Virtanen ring a bell under Travis Green. Remember that? Remember all the buzz around that when Jake Virtanen was skating with the AHL guys?
We had to wait an hour and a half to get Virtanen to come out and talk to us, too.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough one.
What a nightmare, though. Anyways.
I tell you what, it's not going to be Kuzmenko. You see him again, still posting the pics, and Milstein's out there.
He knows he doesn't want to be in that position.
Would people want Milstein on the show? We can get Milstein.
Yeah, we could probably get Milstein.
He's a good chat.
Yeah.
Always fun to chat with. He's been on the show in the past as well. Let's wrap up the poll question that we have on YouTube real quick, which Aaron threw up there. Thank you very much, producer Aaron. Should Quinn Hughes kill penalties? We got 25 votes so far. Do you think they said yes or no, Quads?
56% said yes, 44% no. My simple answer, Chris.
Pretty split.
My simple answer is no, but on this roster, yes. With this team's penalty kill being as bad as it was last year, yes.
Oh.
If he makes your penalty kill better, then yes, he should kill penalties. It's simple. And he does. He makes the penalty kill better.
Huh. But then which defenseman doesn't get any time killing penalties then of the other 4? Is it Tyler Myers? Because then it's like, man, if Tyler Myers isn't killing penalties, he isn't on the power play, he's playing on your 3rd pairing, he's making $6 million. As the elder says in the chat, the gentle giraffe has to go. If he's just playing 3rd pairing minutes and making $6 million, not killing penalties, not doing anything else, maybe you do have to move on to, because this team wants, but the Canucks, nice. I know, but the Canucks want to be competitive this year.
Yeah, you're right.
So $6 million on your 3rd pairing, and think about this is how this could play out. Because remember in the past we've always said, how does Tyler Myers get up to 19 minutes a night? How is he playing 21 minutes a night? That won't happen next year if he's not killing penalties. He's going to be playing 12 minutes a night.
Yeah, and he might do better in those limited minutes.
That's a lot of money to pay a guy to play 12 minutes a night.
What they've been paying him has been a lot to play a guy to do what he's done every night
you're about
for the
to
past
take away
5 years.
And you're about to take away almost 10 minutes of ice time of what he's doing.
But if it makes your team better, who cares? That's my point.
Sure, but
Chris.
does your team? But that's what I'm saying. How much better is your team using $6 million some other way? And are you willing to make a sacrifice of a prospect or a draft pick to get away from that? Then,
well, no, they're not. That's kind of where we're at, and we'll see what happens when this bonus is paid in September. Yeah,
maybe you do have to pay to get off the books.
Yeah, okay, maybe. I think he can kill penalties.
We'll see. Maybe I'll have a bounce back and make more sense with Hirose. Maybe that is the thing that makes sense in the end.
I hope he sticks it to you when you get to talk to him in September. I hope he has a really good year, kills penalties, end of the year. Said, I leave Vancouver for the final time, I just want to stick it to Faber, who in late July said that I should be playing 10 minutes a night and should never kill penalties. No, I'm just saying that again.
Could happen.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think I would play Quinn Hughes on the penalty kill.
Even with this team?
Yeah, even with this team.
Who's killing penalties ahead of him?
It would be Tyler Myers instead then.
Okay, give me your pairings.
It would be Cole and Hronek as your first pairing, and then Soucy and Myers.
Okay.
You could go with Soucy and Hronek just because they play together at 5-on-5, so maybe they're building that defensive chemistry. Like I completely get that, but those would be the 4 guys.
Myers is going to kill penalties. Who are we kidding? You're right.
Yeah. So it makes, I mean, the logical thing, and I think when you think of it through the brain of Rick Tocchet, he's probably thinking big bodies, long reach. That's how we're going to kill penalties.
Corey Anderson, you're paying him regardless. Why force him onto the ice more just because he's expensive? Karan said, Quinn has improved the PK so much. Don't take him off.
Yeah, I get where people are coming from, but if you're looking to actually, how much did we talk about? Hughes is playing too many minutes. Here's a quick way to knock off 3.5 minutes of his ice time. Right?
We gotta talk
instead of talking about a 37, instead of saying like, oh man, another 27-minute night for Quinn Hughes. 24.5 with no PK time. That sounds like a little bit of a better ask for Quinn Hughes on a nightly basis in my eyes.
We got to talk to Rick Tocchet soon.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get the rooftop thing going.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Shades on. Okay,
Yep.
Betway, you got a bet?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Let's get it up.
do it.
Get it up, Aaron.
You almost forgot his name there.
No, I didn't forget his name. It's a pause.
Dramatic
in,
pause?
in the industry. We call that a
okay. Let's go.
pause.
Let's get to
my
it.
question or my Betway bet of the day. Betway. They're back on. They never left. They're back on the show regularly here. My bet
plus.
today, 19 plus to play. Bet responsibly. Question mark.
Do you need me to read this for you?
No, I got it right here. So I got the Blue Jays and Dodgers, the Doyers. They're playing tonight. 7:00 is the start again. I enjoyed that last night. I was watching the game at about. I was watching with you playing Rocket League last night. Are we gonna start streaming our 9:00 tournaments?
We'll see.
Let's
talk about when you get back from the island.
Yeah, because I don't want to start and then leave right after. Good point. We might start streaming. If anybody would be interested, we'll just be playing Rocket League. Which I tell you, I was locked in last night. Anywho, I was watching the Doyers. They're playing the Blue Jays last night, 7:00. They're playing again tonight, 7:00. And I've got the Dodgers to score the first run and over 9.5 total runs between these two teams.
Oh, between the two. I thought you were saying they're going to put up a 10 spot on the Jays.
I would need a lot better odds on that point. Chris Bassett's going for the Jays. He's been good and bad at times this year, sometimes really good. But it's almost like it's not a start-to-start thing with him. It's like what's his trend lately? And I think he's trending downwards right now, at least. And then the Dodgers.
He's got 2 quality starts in his last 2 starts.
Yeah, but he was red hot earlier in the year.
Yes.
Pitcher of the month, I think. In
he had a really good month.
But the pitcher for the Dodgers, he's not very good. So I'm going with the over here, but I'm going to give the Dodgers a first run.
Okay. I will add a little more context.
And a $10 bet here, that's plus 300 over on Betway. $10 is going to get you back 40 if you hit on that one.
You just threw out that Julio Urias is not very good.
Never heard him.
Really? You never heard of him, eh?
No.
Okay, so he was the number 1 prospect in baseball for a while.
Oh, really?
Or among pitchers for sure. He had so much hype around him. Came to the Dodgers when he was really young, like either late teens, early 20s. He made his MLB debut. He actually closed out their World Series win. He's a starter, but they used him as a closer in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So Urias here this year, he's about to be 27, I think. 27. So he's a pending free agent, and he's about to test free agency for the first time. And if he had done what he did every year prior to this one, he would have got paid like a massive amount this offseason. But he's had an up and down year, like you've pointed out, and for the most part down. Like he's got an ERA over 5. It's not been good for Urias, and he gave up 8 earned runs to the Baltimore Orioles last game that he pitched, but who hasn't, right? Like the Orioles are just an absolute wagon this year. So I like your bet, but I'm also not going to be surprised if we see a bounce back because the 2 starts prior to that for Urias were 6-inning pitch performances, 2 quality starts. So we'll see, man.
I like it. Over 9.5 total. They've been putting up a lot of runs in this.
They have
in this series. It's been a fun one. And they went to extras last
Never
night.
bet against the Dodgers offense is what I've kind of learned.
Really?
Yeah.
Are the Dodgers good?
Are the Dodgers good? Yes, they are.
Because I knew there was an expectation. I don't really look at MLB standings.
Clayton Kershaw has not aged, and even with the Arizona Diamondbacks having Corbin Carroll, they're probably going to add a starting pitcher at the trade deadline, which is next week. But the Dodgers still sit atop the NL West, which is a pretty up and down division. Like a lot of people thought the Padres, myself included, the Padres would be in the conversation there, but they're not. The Padres are closer to the bottom with the Colorado Rockies than they are the top of the division with the LA Dodgers, who sit in first. Oh, that just tells you how the Padres season.
Who's going to win the World Series, Quads?
You know what? I really like the Atlanta Braves, and I know Aaron, producer Aaron, is a Braves fan, so he'll like to hear that. But the thing with the Braves is that they're such a wagon right now during the season that you kind of look at it and say, well, who's going to stop them? Who comes out of the AL is my question. Because I think the Braves come out of the NL. I think they ultimately beat the Dodgers in the NLCS. I think that's who they're going to end up facing in the NLCS. But with that in mind, who comes out of the AL? Because I think the Braves are essentially guaranteed to reach the World Series, and there's no guarantees in the playoffs. But I think they're a safe pick to make the World Series and win the pennant in the NL.
Okay.
So who from the AL is your champion? Like, we've got the Texas Rangers sitting atop the AL West. The Baltimore Orioles look like an absolute wagon right now. The Rays have finally kind of come back down to earth. Do the Rays give the Braves a run for their money in the World Series? Maybe. The Orioles, a lot of young players on the Orioles.
All right, this is enough. Enough of that. Got some questions in the chat. We'll
tell you the
up
Jays aren't making it.
Okay. Pahul, and let me know if I'm saying that wrong. Chances of Rathbone making the lineup. What do you think? Let's say 100% chance. I don't think he's that, but I'd say making the opening night lineup. Are we calling it that, or are we calling the NHL roster out of camp? Because I think that's different. He could be a 7th guy, could be an 8th guy. I think the chance of him making the opening night lineup, 10%,
10, 15.
Yeah. 10%. But I think there's about a 30% chance he's on the NHL team out of camp. Yeah. I think some of it is what you talked about with waivers as well. Let's see. Karan says, "Are y'all watching the WWC?" Don't know what that is, Karan. Apologies to that. Should we know what
why'd you read that out loud if you don't know what it is?
I don't know. I'm just reading.
The World Cup.
Everybody gets a question. Oh, the Women's World Cup. Yeah.
I hope that's.
I've never seen it called the WWC before.
I didn't know that's what it was called.
I just thought it was. I thought everyone just called it the World Cup still. Yeah, it makes sense. The Women's World Cup.
Anyways, I haven't watched Canada versus Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a big soccer guy. I've seen the women's team play before. I saw them play Mexico here at BC Place.
You know, there's all these people that like grew up in East Van that are all my age that are on that team now.
Oh, really?
Crazy. Yeah, like Julia Grosso. I think she's from Coquitlam. Jordan Heidema. She's from Chilliwack.
Matt says, "Why the F did they draft for Tannen 2.0 with Lekaramaki?" I mean, pretty different.
Doesn't even make any sense.
Pretty different type of players there. I think Lekaramaki's a pretty smart player. I don't know. He needs to get a little bit tougher with the puck, around the puck, and in the offensive zone. But I mean, so did Virtanen.
I'm laughing because Corey's telling me about the Jays record.
Karan says, "Will Hogs make the lineup to start the season?" Yeah, I think he's going to be there. I think he's going to be in the NHL lineup on opening night. Matt says, "Boo, baseball talk. Can we get an update on Poolman? Didn't he have concussion issues and haven't heard anything on his health in a while?" Yeah, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of positive. The latest is that he's not going to be available for training camp, I believe, at this point. And that was from Patrick Alvin the last time we spoke to him. Let's see. What else do we got here? Anything else? No. We'll call it there then. Appreciate everybody coming by in the chat. Appreciate everyone listening on the podcast. The podcast numbers have been jumping up, so thank you to everyone for doing that, for listening to the show, I guess. As well as maybe this, I always forget this, but maybe a little rate and review on the Apple Podcast. If you're listening to this on the Apple Podcast app, give us a rate and review. Quads, I'm off to, I got to work tomorrow. But after that, tomorrow night, I'm off for the night, and I'm done. I'm gone. I'm on my first vacation. I cannot wait. It's going to be a blast. Got 15 of my closest pals heading down to Port Renfrew. We're going to have a blast down there.
I'm a little disappointed I couldn't make it. We did throw around the idea of bringing Bert out there, but then we kind of shot that
Well, we got another puppy who's actually younger than Bert coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. What kind?
Bernedoodle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous little dog. He's coming out there, and I get to meet him for the first time.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
He's way younger than Bert. He's like, I think he's like 9 weeks old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bring him around all those people.
Yeah.
For the whole weekend?
Yeah, man. Yep.
Whose dog is this?
My buddy Brad.
Okay, you keep that dog safe.
Well, that's the other thing. I couldn't believe this. This dog's already out on the. He's taking him rollerblading with him.
That's sick.
He's not even 10 months old.
10 weeks. You said weeks.
Yeah, he's not even 10 weeks yet. He's 9 weeks old.
You said months.
Okay. Well, listen.
I just want to make sure we're talking about a 9-week.
You know how people are like, "Oh, by the end of the work week, I'm all worn out." This is the end of my work year, almost pretty much here. Quad. This is my first actual weekend off, and I'm so jacked up for it.
Right.
So I'm at that point. My words are lost, and this energy drink didn't really hit the spot like I was hoping it would have. Did we get a Burt cam today or no?
No Burt cam today.
No Burt cam today. The podcast folks are probably like, hell yes. We don't have to do this 10-second pause where everyone just goes, oh, on the Burt cams while they're going on. But I know that Karan's not happy about that. He wants to see a Burt cam.
Quick Burt cam.
All right. So yeah, here's that 10 seconds. Sorry, podcast listeners.
He's moving in there.
Oh, he knows the show's about to be over.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just repositioning. That was.
Oh yeah, he's
cute.
a sleepy boy, man.
That was pretty cute.
And he still won't sleep outside of his crate. We're working on it.
He was getting yippy last night with you though.
Yeah, because we tried to let him. Anyways, not going to get into it. Yeah, the guy won't sleep outside of his crate. It's quite funny, but we're working on it. Yeah. Anyways, we'll close it out there.
Karan says, "Let's go." He got his Burt cam, so happy there.
We forgot to discuss garlic fries.
Okay, let's do it. We got a little bit of time.
Really? Do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. This is the longest show we've done in a long time.
I was very let down by the garlic
fries. Okay, so here's the
Seattle.
thing. I hyped them up to our coworker, Tyler Hamchuk.
Yeah, Tyler Hamchuk's cousin, top 10 pick in next year's draft too.
What are you talking about?
His cousin.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Right D.
Oh, the NHL draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he actually his cousin? You just making this up?
Same as Brock Faber's my cousin.
Okay. Anyways, so our coworker Tyler Yaremchuk went there. Hadn't been to Safeco or T-Mobile Park in a long time.
Carter Yaremchuk.
And I told him to get the garlic fries, and I hyped these up to him to no end. And he was like, "Whoa, you're really, really hyping these up." He got them. I asked how they were. He said, "Cleared the hype." You, on the other hand, have had the garlic fries before.
Back in the day, I love them. My favorite thing at a ballpark
so
I've ever had.
You went and you told me they were cold, which has never been my experience. I went a month ago.
Brutally cold.
I went a month ago and they were not cold.
Yeah.
I had great garlic fries. I had an awesome experience. So here's my thought. I think with the volume of fans that were in the building, that they had them pre-made, and a lot of places do this.
Of course.
They had them pre-made. And then they were sitting there.
Like back in the day when I used to work at A&W to have $3 team burgers, we have about 12 team burgers ready to go.
Well, that's the thing. And then you have them, you get them. You probably just got some that were sitting there for a little bit. I got to be honest. I don't think that's a fair indication of because your take was, oh, they're not the same as they used to be. Why don't you come to a game with me next week? I bet they'll be even better than what you had before.
Here's my problem, though.
It's the same recipe, man.
I know, but this is what I did, Quad. So I went at the very start because I was like, the first thing you have to do is go get the garlic fries. Yeah. So I did. I went and got the garlic fries. They were cold. It wasn't good. The fries were like hard, and it wasn't like cold and soggy. I could have dealt with cold and soggy because I still would have got the flavor.
Yeah.
But I got cold and hard.
Were you wearing a Jays jersey?
Don't clip that.
Were you wearing a Jays jersey?
Yeah, I was. What, a Manoa jersey? What, at least they should feel sorry for me. I'm wearing a freaking Manoa jersey. They should have given me the hottest fries they got.
I'm just saying, I went there in my J-Rod jersey. I got great garlic fries.
You see the Julios? I should have got you the cereal too.
I know, that's too bad. We'll go
here's
sometime.
The thing. So I go and I get them off the top because that's the first thing I do. I'm like, oh, it probably was what you were talking about, where they just had a bunch ready right before, and the huge crowd's going to come and you get it off.
Yeah.
So I gave them the benefit of the doubt there. I said, okay, well, I'm going to go try the waffle fries at this other one. Waffle garlic fries.
I've never had those.
So I got that. They were cold as well. And I just it really made me mad. Because this is what I went down here to have for the snack.
Yeah, well, you don't go when the Jays are in town. There's too many people.
I did
Jays
forget
fans
how
ruin
easy
everything.
It is. It's so easy to go down to a Seattle ball game. Like we could go to a 1 o'clock game on a Saturday
or a Wednesday.
And we drive back at night. Like I would be down. It's 2 hours tops.
Yeah, like we could.
No,
I'm literally telling you.
Let's bring producer Aaron in real quick because Aaron works at the ballpark there.
Riverhawks. Riverhawks.
Yeah, Riverhawks. Aaron, what's the go-to food at Riverhawks games? Because ballparks, you got to have that one item. What do you guys got out there?
So we do like theme nights every night. So the menu does change. My number one staple, without a doubt, is the poutine that we're rocking with. But honorable mention to the taco in a bag, in a Doritos bag.
Yep.
You put jalapenos, onions, ground beef, salsa, sour cream. It's too good. Go Riverhawks. And go Braves.
But there's not like a signature Riverhawks, because here we have the Vancouver Canadians. They have like the 3-foot hot dogs. They got the Korean barbecue poutines, all these things. There's not like a, because as far as I know, and this is only from talking to people from Oilers Nation HQ, the food of Edmonton is donair. Apparently, that's apparently Edmonton created the donair, 1,400 years ago and all this stuff. But there's no donair at Riverhawks games or anything.
No, currently not. There's a weird thing in Edmonton about the donair, is somehow the Alberta government is auctioning off a giant donair mascot costume.
Yeah,
that's up to like $16,000 the last time I checked. And the Riverhawks are looking into buying it and then having donair night out at the field. We do have the foot-long hot dog, which, I'm sorry, it's frankly too big. It's just too big. It's too much.
You in a yard dog here at the Vancouver Canadians games, the 3-foot-long hot dogs
that they
serve.
3 feet?
3 feet, a yard.
The thing that I like about C's games the most is they got a real good like local craft beers too. That's the other thing that I like. That's what a good ballpark, especially like
we do.
If it's not like a AAA or major leagues, your ballpark's got to do something great. And I think that local craft beers, that's a very smart move. Make them $5 too, and then we're talking.
Yeah, we have the beer bats. I think any beer is $9, but all of it's craft.
Excellent. All right. Anything else you got here, Quads? You're already sending emails.
That's right. I'm working, man. I'm working.
You're locked out.
Try it sometime.
This is my first vacation day. God damn you. If I get COVID tomorrow, I'll be pissed.
Oh man, I wouldn't wish that on you. I hope you have an awesome time at your bachelor party. Just so everybody's clear, we're having a mainland bachelor party as well for the folks that aren't making the trip over the island, like myself. I've also done some more research. I got a new suit. I know I'm getting one for your wedding because I'm a groomsman. I got to wear a tuxedo. Yep. But I just got a new black suit because I never owned a black suit. I've had blue, burgundy, and that's it. I've owned 2 suits in my adult life, that is. As a child, none of my stuff fits me anymore.
Yeah, no, I can see that happening. Same here.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, we'll close it out there.
Vacation
Long
time.
episode. Vacation time. Let's go. Okay, we'll close it out for my co-host, Chris Faber, and our technical producer, Aaron Bordato. Thank you so much for joining us on this late July edition of Canucks Conversation.
Woo!
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?